Look at how far you've come from the beginning of January until now. 6 months ago, the collective celebrated the start of the new year. At 12 a.m., journals were being purchased, vision boards were finally crafted and curated, and grapes were feasted upon under tables in hopes of bringing in change for the new cycle. And now it's June, the sunny middle marked month of the year. And by this time, you have either decided if this has been a good year or not so good year. Goals that once seemed dire to achieve have maybe been changed or tossed to the side. Or maybe you've met the goal you've worked so hard to put into action since the notorious cold winter day. Though whether you have met your goals or not, you have likely went through change since the start of January. Tumultuous change, harmonious change, neutral change. We can take the ways we've been mended and also stretched to our advantage. My name is Madie, and the first episode of True Altar, we are going to come to the altar ourselves. Whether it is truthfully or kindly, whether you need to forgive yourself or others, I want you to take a deep breath and reflect with me on all the transpirings so far this year and analyze how we can make this year even better than it has been. Let's go. Hello. Welcome to True Altar. And as you heard in the intro, this is the first official episode to the podcast. And today we are doing a mid-year review. I was really debating on what I wanted my first episode to be. No one knows who I am, so I wanted to obviously make a good impression for everyone. But, I didn't want to niche down on the very first episode. So I thought an all-encompassing episode where everyone could relate would be more fitting. And then also this is going to be a short and sweet episode. And I think that would be nice for the first one. So for me, this year has been awful. I'm just going to lay it out. On the table. It has been a very challenging year, a very tight year. And usually for my birthday, which is in June, it's June 30th, I usually will review pretty much all aspects of my life and see where I can improve, where I need to step back, and where I need to sit down and breathe. And it's ironic because we do have a Mercury retrograde at the end of the month. I think it goes direct on the 29th of this month, which retrogrades, they're all about reevaluating and reassessing. So I feel like this episode is coming right when needed. But for me, this year it's been very hard. Every aspect of my life has been highlighted, has been under fire, okay? Basically like cooking in a hot pot, shall we say. And a few weeks ago, I come to the conclusion that not everything has to be so bad and so life-ending. And when I say all aspects, I mean like finances have been tight, interpersonal relationships has been tight, just the general being, me as a person. I've been reevaluating a lot of things, and I think I've been in a fog these past few months. When you've been going through it for so long, it's hard to appreciate anything that's good around you. I feel like recently I've been so caught up with being upset and stagnant that I haven't been living my life. I haven't been creating or indulging in things that I enjoy. To paint a picture for you guys, it's like at the beginning of the year, it started raining for me, and like I covered my head and my eyes to shield me from the rain, and I eventually went inside because the rain got so heavy, and then I came back out and I'm still shielded though. Like I'm still shielded from forces, from the rain. My eyes are still covered, but there's no rain anymore. The sun is shining. It's peak golden hour, but I feel like I'm too scared to open my eyes to even enjoy the sun, enjoy what's been happening around me and happening for me. Don't get me wrong. There is nuance to this, what I've been through this year alone has aged me. Okay. It's aged me. Like you all might as well call me Auntie Madie or whatever the fuck, because this year has just been like a one battle after the other type of situation. And it has just been, it's been tricky to navigate, to say the least. But I'm realizing slowly that I have learned so much this year so far. I've been through so much character development, and I've matured, and I'm seeing things as they are now, which I do believe is a blessing. I think before I was walking with a certain naivety and how do I say, like I don't want to say rose-colored glasses, but I think that I definitely was walking around with the idea that things couldn't get bad for me and things couldn't be hard for me, because I don't know, I just kind of thought that the brunt of my work, like I thought I had made my dues when I was younger. But so going into adulthood, it was kind of challenging knowing that, oh no, like just because you had a hard childhood or whatever the fuck you had doesn't mean it stops there. Like you're just gonna keep going. And side tangent, but I do blame Disney and things like that. Well, not even just Disney. I feel like a lot of shows just do that. It's a hero's journey. Like, person A starts out a certain way. They go through some hard shit and then they end up on top. And that's not really the case. There are, of course, bad people in this world that will stay on the top no matter what. But I digress. So let's talk about it. Okay, let's talk about goals. Okay, which can be a dreaded conversation when we're talking about New Year's resolutions and things. Have you met your goals so far this year? We have a ways to go, so it's completely fine if you haven't, but we need to explore where we want it to be then and where we are now. And I completely forgot that I didn't make any goals this year. I was going to list them out when I was tinkering with this episode, trying to figure out what I wanted to put in here, and I remembered that I started this year out in shit and shambles, because the back half of last year was pretty messy too. But I will be candid and add the only journal entry that I have from January 1st of this year. So here's just a little excerpt. This is the only excerpt that I have of January 1st. So much has happened this year, as we know. I don't want to harp too long about it, but I believe this year I became a woman. I was scared all of 2025, worried that I could get lower than I already was. I feel better now, though. Different. My skin has become thicker, and I have become wiser, at least. I believe so. Porcelain to ivory to steel. Sansa Stark, I see you now. Which, if you don't know, there is this character in the Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones books, and there's this one character, Sansa, and that she's kind of known to kind of being naive, just unprepared for the world, and then she she ends up marrying this pretty awful dude, and throughout the series, she kind of has to reclaim herself. No, I am her. Like, I am her. I just had to grow. Like, she's my kid now, I guess, because I really feel that. And I wanted to add that in because last year feels like a cakewalk to this year. Like, yes, I went through things, of course, but it was not as heavy in the same sense of how heavy this year has been for me. But I still learned, I still grew. And even if I didn't make any goals or meet any goals on January 1st, I feel like I achieved something. Like, I finally stepped into adulthood. And I was kind of saying on the same lines at the beginning of this episode how this year as well, I felt I've grown and expanded, but I didn't even write down any goals, or I didn't even allude to any fantasies of the future. So this is what the middle month marker, this is what June is all about to me. There were no goals to check off, but I know that I've learned more about myself and others around me and how I interact with the world, with finances, with pain, and with abuse. So I want to get you to thinking and meditating on the past 6 months. Like I said earlier, every aspect of my life has been in a little hot pot as pressure has been applied since the clock strike 12, it seems like. But I'm going to list out a few journal prompts that you can use to reflect on these few months to hopefully narrow down things you need to work on, and also things you maybe just need to breathe a little bit. Maybe you just need to rest here in this area. So I have 6 journal prompts. I'll say all of them twice so that you can hear me, and then I'll also list them in the notes. So, journal prompt number 1. Who was I / how did I identify at the beginning of the year? Who was I and how did I identify at the beginning of the year? And I will answer this one. The beginning of this year, I feel like I've honestly did a whole 180. Last year, I was very set on transitioning female to male. I, for the first time, really considered that I was lesbian. So there were a lot of personal things in my life of how I presented to the world and who I thought I was at the beginning of this year. And it turns out I'm neither of those things. I don't want to transition for reasons that don't necessarily have to go into depth today. And as I do identify as queer, but no longer lesbian. So things have definitely in that area have changed for me. Journal prompt 2. How did the past 6 months change me? And why do I like it / hate it? How did the past 6 months change me? And why do I like it / hate it? I will also answer this one. I'll probably just do that for all of these prompts. I feel like I've kind of became a hard ass a little bit this year. That, like I said, that naivety is definitely gone. So I feel like right now I'm kind of rebuilding a little bit of dream, again. I have goals again, and I feel like at the beginning of this year and from last year, also, I've been knocked down a lot. I have been rejected a lot in many different aspects and scopes of my life. And, it's kind of, it is really making me see the bigger picture of things, but then also I'm seeing things for what they are now. I think before I definitely had a more dreamy idea of life, which is always fun. But I do think that this year has I feel like it's grounded me. I do feel like I was in the clouds a little bit, and I blame that on my Pisces moon. But now I'm realizing, like, no, like, shit's not always going to be sweet, I think, is what I'm learning. And I don't like that, but I do think that has been necessary for someone like me who has always had fantasies and ideas, which I'm not saying that that's wrong. It's definitely not wrong, but in the sense of how I was doing it, I would have fantasies but no action, dreams but no working to the dream. So I think these past few months, kind of 6 months, changed me in the way that I'm realizing that things can be bad, but they can also be good. Two things can be true at once. I can be a dreamer, I can be whimsical, I can be bubbly, but I can also be grounded as well. And even though these past few months have been very difficult for me, I think I needed that. I think I needed that balance between the two. Journal prompt number 3. These people in my life are still here 6 months later. Why? These people in my life are still here 6 months later. Why? So this one is a little loaded. There's always pressure for the person that is upset, the victim, to be the one to end things with other people, and, cut people off and things like that. There are people in my life that I am shocked are still here, but I am happy with the people I have removed as well. Interpersonal relationships are always tricky, and sometimes you have to take it a few months at a time, a few years at a time. This journal prompt, this question, it wasn't supposed to be as pointed or as demanding as it probably is coming across, but more so a review. Why am I maybe allowing this person to be here? But then also, again, what can I change? Am I at a crossroads? Is this out of my control that these people are in my life? Especially with like family, coworkers. I mean, there's so much you can do. So I didn't really want to make this question as pointed as it sounds, but just more so a review of like, okay, what all can you do? Like, these people, if there's people in your life that you don't like, that you maybe were on the fence about in January and they're still here in June, it doesn't necessarily have to be your fault. It doesn't necessarily have to be because you didn't buck up and cut them off. Sometimes people are in our life for longer than we would like, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can still learn, we can still learn from the people that are in our life that we don't like. There is always a lesson in between. Okay. There's always a lesson. So I wanted to add that in there just to get you thinking if that is something that you are dealing with currently. Journal prompt number 4. Do I have the space that is conducive to my well-being? Do I have the space that is conducive to my well-being? This one kind of goes to working for me. I'm really reevaluating how I show up for work, and I'm realizing that I am showing up for work. And I actually had the thought today, of how am I going to be anybody or anything if work is such a stressor and exhaustion device for me, so I am already working on these journal prompts. But that was journal prompt number 4. Number 5, can I forgive the wrongdoings of this year? Why or why not? Can I forgive the wrongdoings of this year? Why or why not? And we're just going to go straight to it. Number 6, journal prompt number 6, how can I gain back my livelihood within these last few months? How can I gain back my livelihood within these last few months? And so we're just going to keep going just for the sake of time. I did not think it would be this long of an episode, but those were very generalized prompts to get reflecting on these past 6 months. I didn't want to come at this episode like advice heavy. When it comes to check-ins, everyone's lives are so distinct and we all take different strides. And I felt like if I gave attention to one aspect of New Year's and new cycles, then I would completely miss another aspect that should be explored. If I could say one thing though, I don't know you, but I know you have come a lot farther than you may think this year. I've done praying over this podcast, and not just anyone is going to see this. And, of course I want a following, but I do pray that a certain kind of person tunes in. Someone who works on themselves and who's called to being authentic and true to themselves and those around them. And it takes a special somebody to be a true somebody. And I personally have always hated when creators would say at the end of their videos, like, I love you or I care about you at the end, It always made me cringe because I know some only love me for my like and for my view. But when I say that I am proud of whoever you are, listening, I mean it. I mean, you're listening to a podcast with journal prompts, right? So that has to mean something, right? And I believe that no matter if your year has been well received or not, you are being primed for success and innovation in your life. If your year has sucked so far, I wouldn't say, good job, you're still here, we need you. But I would say there is such thing as a bottleneck. Things could be extremely tight for a reason. Stay around so that you can see this to the end. To me, I know this is going to ruffle some feathers. To me, it's not about the journey. Okay, it's about the end result. Okay, and we can debate. I am tired of hearing about the journey. Okay, I'm tired of suffering to suffer for the sake of suffering. I want there to be an end goal. Okay, I want a reward. And it's not to say you'll always get one, but you do have to stick around to see if you even will. So I would say stick around, even if this year has been very hard, because I know, girl, why do you think I am trying to put this episode short? Because I could go on a tangent on how sucky and weird and trashy and icky and gunky this year has been for me. But I have hope that things are happening for a reason. It is very hard to believe in that when you are going through it, when you're in the trenches, when, lights gonna be cut off, gas done been cut off, car about to get repoed, no food on the table. It's hard to believe that this struggle is for a reward at the end, and it's hard to believe in that. It really is. But I am hopeful and I have faith that whoever is listening, that you are not suffering for the sake of suffering, and that you are here for, I won't even say you're here for a reason, like for some divine, you have to help people and you have to do this. And you're here for you. Stay around for you. Don't stay around for someone else or something else. Stay around for you and meeting your goals, reaping your reward. All right. that is all I have for you today. I hope this episode got some minds going for this middle month marker check in. Where are we at the middle mark of this year, and how can we process the things that have transpired throughout these past 6 months. I do have an Instagram. It is Madie Moon. That is Madie with 1D. And a YouTube, Maiden Madie Moon, also with 1D. You can follow both accounts for updates and witchy offerings. Leave a comment down below of something you've learned this year, or if you've achieved anything this year. Let us know. Everyone wants good news, and also everyone deserves to be praised a little bit about, things that they have achieved. Everyone deserves a little pick me up, every now and again. So this has been episode 1, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. All right. Bye for now.